the gap was. We'll meet there in a few other areas. We're going to do the
So we'll start with just what's going on. So a couple of people have been on a tour to go through to see what's going on here. And again, if there's something additionally that you guys want to see after this, we can certainly set up a time to go through, because it's going to be a hell of a lot easier to go in a pickup truck or a car to go see what we're doing. But today, to focus on the synthetic track and just timelines on what's been completed and where we are. Old paddock is obviously gone but expanded now, so new paddock, same horse entrance coming from the assembly barn by barn 4 going into the paddock. The entrance into the center of the building is still the same location as the old horse tunnel. What's changed on that is we've got an area on the apron that's set up for ponies to be able to wait in that area, so they're not just stuck in the tunnel. For the synthetic use, right along the outside rail, when we go down into the tunnel, there's a horse path that leads from that center horse path that leads not only to the main track, but then also to the tunnel. So there's a horse path that leads from the paddock down into the tunnel, underneath the 2 turf courses, and then onto, we walk out here to where the synthetic harrow yard is. This will be the entrance for training over here. So where we are right now, they're coming tomorrow to pave this area. There'll be gates set up over here, so there'll be a catch area. We can shut the gates in that area. Along the outside rail of the main track, everything that you see with the fencing, that's basically from the 3/4 pole all the way to the 1/4 pole with that aluminum non-scalable fence, will be installed right here. So there's a loose horse. Loose horse doesn't go over into the tunnel, consistent with the outside of the synthetic track. The outside of the synthetic track, every one of the black poles that you see with the pipes over there, those go down 8 feet, so that way a tractor in the wintertime, one of my guys falls asleep, they're not driving off into the tunnel. In addition to that, we just received last week 100 arborvitaes that will be lined along there as well, where the tractor with the roller is, so that the outside rail of the synthetic track, horses coming up from the tunnel, there is a buffer between the horses that are on the synthetic track with the horses coming up. When we walk out there, you'll see the fence that they're installing right now. That's the entrance to the synthetic track, so the horses that go through the tunnel to get to the synthetic track, there's a catch area over there. So again, a loose horse that's coming to that area will have a solid barrier behind them. Adjacent to the synthetic harrow yard is the location for the human ambulance and the horse ambulance that's staged there for training. Next to that is a outriders building that's set up similar to what's on the pony track. Heat, lighting, fan in the summertime that's set up right there. There's 4 different gaps located basically just past the wire on the synthetic, at the 8th pole, at the 5/8 pole, and right around before the 6 furlong pole for access from the infield. There's a perimeter road that goes around the entire infield of the synthetic, inside of the synthetic track, for an ambulance as well. If it has to be a secondary ambulance, it has to respond. We have not gone through with racing on how that will be handled, and that's something that, again, with input, we'll develop what the protocols are for that. As you see with the dirt that's out there, that's the challenge right now. They're still wrapping up the new video board that's going on. So there's the electrical work on that, and that is just a frame for it. So now they have to put on all of the hangers and the steel for supporting the new Samsung board. The pile of dirt that you see on the west end by the pond next to the yellow excavator over there, that should be gone by mid-January, hopefully sooner. They're taking anywhere from 30 to 65 loads. The best day was 70 loads a day of that dirt going out of here, so that's why you see all the trucks cycling through here. They're all entering from the north tunnel, going through the commercial tunnel underneath the tracks that go through there. The synthetic track, everything is down on the synthetic track. We've been conditioning that for the last couple of weeks. We've got Dr. Peterson scheduled to come up here. The pile of synthetic that you see is additional material that was ordered that we have. Once we know that we have enough out here and they go through with the ground penetrating radar and their tests, that will be moved and set for storage. What else out here? That's the synthetic. We'll walk through that, just what's been done on the main track. So the pile that you see behind the white video board, that's all the main track, that's all the main track base that's over there. So that'll go on this track March or April, depending on the weather, on when that can get completed. That will cap the limestone that's down here. There's all, you guys I'm sure have heard on some of the meetings, all the drainage is complete. All new drainage. There's irrigation that's set up for everything in between the spurs of the track. Everything on all four surfaces has been built from the ground up. So there's brand new everything from sub base to drainage. The marker poles, you can see the finish line is intact, just adjacent to the video board. There's the mock-up for the training lighting that's up as well. Those poles will be here the third week of January. There was a 4.5 month lead time on those. All the infrastructure for the lighting for the synthetic track, there will be training lighting for that track. That's a lot brighter than what's set up on the current training track. What else out there? The other infrastructure work that's been done in between the dirt track and the Widener turf course, every 1/8 of a mile, similar to the 1.25 mile pole that you see behind us, there's a camera on that pole. So we'll be able to not only increase our coverage with box, but then also we're working on how that will also be used for training as well, to be able to capture what takes place not only on the synthetic but also on the main track. All that infrastructure is in place. New camera poles, that's what the larger 40-foot poles over here are in place for the new head-on shots for the track. The old cable cam that was installed with the arrow yard outside rail with the 1/2 mile pole. That's intact, and that was designed when we put it in to be able to be right on the inside rail of the inner turf course. So that was put in 4 years ago before the project started. We changed the paver. We were going to install pavers coming from the paddock. So now leading off of the horse tunnel, coming to and from the ramps, everything is synthetic surface. That was like a $750,000 increase to go through and do that. But now the jock's coming off in the wintertime. It'll be a little bit quicker coming back to the paddock, as well as going out to the track where some of the trainers that are stable far away speed the process up getting into here. Camera coverage in the tunnels. When we walk through there, you'll see there's 5 cameras. There's cameras located at every point of the tunnel, at the bottom of the tunnel, 2 inside the tunnels, and then 2 outside going on the top of the tunnel. So there's complete coverage. All that cables, all that fiber is already pulled and terminated. You'll see the boxes. All the tunnels have the lighting installed in them. All of the plumbing is in for the fire protection, for the Siamese connection, for the fire hydrants that are installed. What we're waiting on from PSE&G is power to get to the infield. The yellow box that you see behind the white truck that's getting loaded right now, that's a generator that handles backup power, not only for the lighting of the track, of the synthetic track, but also the pump station in all the tunnels that have pumps on it. So that way it'll never be an issue like some of the other tracks that haven't accommodated for a 5-inch rainfall. The structures that you see over there, the concrete structures where I'm pointing to right by the grader, those go down 40 feet. There's 4 pumps in those that handle the storm water. Everything on the tracks, as far as storm water is concerned, stays on the tracks. It's no longer filling up the pond like it used to, or going down into the sump by barn 61. So there's over 240 dry wells that are installed, 20 feet deep, 10 and 12 feet around, to capture all of the storm water off of the tracks. The storm water system was set up where it's separated, so the dirt, because of the silt and the clay that's used on this, is a separate system. The synthetic and the turf courses also go to a separate system, so that way they don't clog with the silt and the clay. So there's a maintenance procedure that's set up for taking care of those drains. The pile that you see with the weeds on it behind the ProMax screener there, that's the topsoil that will be used for the 14 acres out in the infield to sod that. So that does not have to get screened. That will just get processed once everything is out of the way. When we go out on the turf course, you'll see everywhere where there's an orange barrel or a cone is one of the drainage structures. Now that the video board is complete, as far as the superstructure for it, we can start doing the grading work around the inside, and we are able to still get sod from New Jersey, so that is something that will continue for the infield to go through with sod on that. The pond, that was one of the first things that was done almost 2 years ago. It's a 15 million gallon storage area for the turf courses and the synthetic track. So we've put the irrigation system on the synthetic track, so that way we don't have to do like the other jurisdictions, go out on the track with a water truck to be able to water the turf course. The pump station's able to put 250,000 gallons out just under 45 minutes. So in the morning, summertime use, because one of the questions came up was, how do you have a winter synthetic track that you plan on using during the summer? We're able to water that track, and the pony track that's been in for over 3 years now, again, that's a winter track as well, and we have not watered that since it's been installed. So we've been able to accommodate for that future proofing with watering the synthetic track if we need to. So the irrigation mains on the turf courses, they're triple the size of what we had on the old track. So you'll all remember after the last race, we'd take us 5 hours to water one of the turf courses. Again, that's no longer an issue with the infrastructure that's been installed here. Going back to the turf courses and the profile, that was modified to be able to be a little bit sandier profile than what we had previously. But again, all of the turf courses have under drainage in it. I think it's just under, and don't quote me on this, but 16 miles of drainage that's underneath the 2 turf courses. Under the turf courses, the drainage, there's a 4-inch drainage layer of stone, and you'll see it when we get out to the synthetic track where you can see the profile, and then 12 inches of growing medium that was processed here on site. We had a blender that we rented from Ireland that came in to be able to blend the soil to the specific specifications of what our engineers had called for on that. The synthetic track, the other thing that we changed on the synthetic track, and it was in place on the pony track, is the stabilization mats, which you see right behind us over here. The problems with the other synthetic tracks, I shouldn't say problems, but one of the issues that has happened with other jurisdictions is the porous asphalt that you see to the left, that has no stability. All that is set up for is a barrier between the drainage stone and the tapeta. And what's happened at other locations is once a piece of equipment or an implement hits that, it compromises the drainage area. There's no stability to it, and then you start to get areas that start to clog so they don't drain correctly. The mats that you see are interlocking mats. They've been used in Grand Prix jumping rings and dressage rings for 20 plus years. we've incorporated that into all the tunnels and the tracks. It's a barrier, so that way the harrows are able to ride on that. God forbid they hook that. It's a simple fix, but you're never compromising the base of the track. On a synthetic track, similar to the turf courses, there's on 12 or 13 foot increments. There's 6-inch train tile that go every 13 to 15 feet on the track, and then a 10-inch trunk line that leads off of that. So just again, alone on that track, there's 10 miles of drainage underneath the synthetic track. What else?
Do you have a soccer stand in the synthetic track?
Not yet. And unfortunately, and that was one of the things that we talked about is while the building is going on, how do we accommodate that? And one of the challenges will be the video board on how big that is, where you're able to see from clocking from there. And I think one of the solutions initially will be having the ability to get to the infield.
Yeah, I
Because-
guess, are you clocking from here or are you clocking from over there?
Eventually we'll be clocking from here,
Right.
but in the short term, when the building, before the building is complete, and one of the things is everything that's being done over here is for the surfaces, and we also have to recognize that they're trying to get the building open for next September. So again,
Don't forget the heater in there.
what heater?
Put a heater in the clocker stand.
We need a heater. Yes, we will have a heater there, and then
Any fish in that new pond?
not yet. Not yet. There is a line pond on that.
And where's the clay path that goes down?
Right,
Is that the
that's
red
all-
stuff up there?
Nope, that's all, where the tractor just went by.
Yeah,
The pile to your
that's
left, that's all screened. And that
That's the
orange
clay that
screener,
goes on top?
yes, and that's what came off of the track here. So the piles that you see out there are the old main track base. That's what was stored over here while we were doing all the construction. Brought it out there to process it.
Out.
The pile over by the pond, and then some of whatever is left over from the topsoil that we don't need for the infield, that'll also go as well.
Then lighting would be only for the morning, right? Not planning on having any lighting.
At
for
this
the
point, the main track does not have training lighting on it at this point, because again, summertime, daylight savings with how we're impacted
Sure.
with that.
But at any stage, you're not planning on having like
We
twilight
have,
racing
no,
night racing.
there
like
is
this,
infrastructure in for it, but to put lighting in to cover the 4 surfaces, it's $22 million.
I'm not complaining.
You don't
I don't
know.
want to run at 11 o'clock at
Nor
night
do
like
I.
we used to do at Hollywood. So that's
Nor do
okay.
I. No.
That's okay.
Meadowlands was horrible, so no.
And next question, the board that you have here,
Yeah.
having 2 different racetracks like in Japan, the fact that it's more square than horizontal, is there a purpose to it? Or?
And one of the things was we were limited exposure on the backstretch because
of
of how
training,
many
so-
races, and especially with
And then for training too as well.
Exactly. And so what we've been working on is how do we get coverage on the back of the board for not only the starts but also for trainers to be able to watch that. So again, that is a mock-up right there for the 1.25 miles. So that's the new 1.25 miles chute where the loader is parked right now. And as I said, I think it's 35 new cameras that are around the inside of the track. The other thing is now safety rail on all the tracks, aluminum outside rail, Duralock rail. The white pins that you see are the 0 rail settings on both turf courses. The other thing that we changed was we made the running lanes to all 12 feet consistent, so that way instead of the 9 feet, we're just getting a real rail move. And with the configuration of the turf courses, we did move the wire. I think it's like 123 feet that the stretch is longer. We were able to accommodate more distances, and then again, every start on each of the surface is starting on the surface. It's no longer that mongrel starting on mile 16, starting on the Widener, going over the inner, So there's 4 different spurs on the Widener turf course. And the other thing is every surface out here is a consistent width. So it's no longer 68 feet on one turn for the main track and smaller on this turn, and the turf courses being narrower, so all the rail moves will be consistent on both turf courses. And the synthetic track, what we did was we widened this turnout so horses that are either backing up or coming on this turn, galloping out. This part of the course after the wire is roughly 19 feet wider, and you'll see it when you go out. And then also the 6 furlong start is also a wider part of the track. So the east turn is wider to accommodate that area.
It's still a mile surface, right?
Yes. Yep.
And then what's the next turf course? A mile and an eighth?
So a mile and eighth, a mile and a quarter. Yep. And then a mile and a half. Yep.
Next
Exactly.
question.
Slightly longer.
If you had to compare to synthetic to any other racetrack in North America, would be closer to maybe Woodbine?
Probably that's probably close. Yeah. And that's and again, we've looked at do we go with a 15-foot rail setting? Do we do an 18-foot rail setting? And what this will allow us to do is to be off of a course for almost 5 weeks, which before we were never able to do that. And I mean, when I started, remember we had 3 running lanes, we widened the turns. I mean, we expanded every turf course as wide as we could possibly go. What's been done here is to try and maximize the total surface area on the turf courses, give Andrew as many starts as we possibly can get on it, and give us the ability to rotate, because remember, we're coming back to one track now. So come springtime, the blankets will go on there. That's why you see, even on this course right now, if you look on the Widener, how the inside 30 feet looks like it's more dormant. Well, no, that's on purpose, because we beat the hell out of it in the fall to get the roots to go down. So that's, and the blankets will go on this in another couple weeks. But again, that's all been, by design on that. What am I missing?
You covered most. I mean, one of the benefits of GPS timing is we can set rail positions wherever we want, basically do an infinity number of rail positions, so there's ultimate flexibility. If you want to move 10 feet, 15 feet, we can set up a rail position every 5 feet and use however we want to use it. So that's what we intend to do, give ourselves maximum flexibility.
Is that a better system than Gulfstream? Because I knew they had crazy.
It's changed dramatically in what they've done over the last 2 years. I was actually just talking with them this past week. So they've integrated a beam start into a GPS fractional system, and they're also updating their GPS technology to a newer generation. So we should actually start testing that in January at Aqueduct to prepare to bring it over here.
Have you guys come up with a training schedule idea yet?
We haven't. Trying to figure out how to balance, as Glenn was talking about, the challenges with the site. Visibility, I shouldn't say challenges right at the moment. So between that and trying to get finalization of the construction timeline for video board, that's kind of what we're waiting on to be able to put something out, but it won't be before January for sure.
They were here. They were on site yesterday. The iron workers to go through doing some of the pre-inspection of this thing with the next phase of it. So hopefully we should know something in the next couple of weeks on when the timing would be.
For training, how would you get there the same way?
Yes.
Go
Yep.
through the
Everything is
paddock and
for training. I'm sorry, for training you would come in through here.
go through here.
Yeah. So though you could go
through the paddock once it's finished.
Yes.
Both options.
Yep.
How long will it take the jocks to get on in the paddock? and
6 minutes.
To the synthetic
Yep.
track, 6 minutes
Yep.
jogging?
Yes.
Jogging or walking?
Walking. We did it walking.
Power
Not
walking? So 3 minutes if we're jogging.
And you know,
We're not walking.
you know that, and that's why we changed from the rubber pavers to go to the Tapeta, because they're not going to,
we're not walking the
nobody's
paddock
going
in
to. And the same thing with trainers that want to use this in the wintertime to go out here when we're open. You're going to get a hand. You're going to move along going through here for sure. But
So this just goes down underneath and then comes up right into the track?
outside there. Yes.
Already?
Yep. Yeah. Let's take a walk through here. Just wipe your feet off before you go in. We will put, we have to by code put the emergency light to come out of here. We're trying to modify that so we can put, but in order just to get the CO on this, that's why.
Is there going to be any kind of rubber on the wall? Or
Yeah,
anything?
that's what we're looking to go through. Like in Tokyo, they put AstroTurf.
Okay.
So they just put AstroTurf on them. So, and again, it's so with the other tunnel, same thing. It's concrete tunnel. The current tunnel that we go through.
Right.
It's been.
But as I said, the cameras, there's a camera up on the wall coming down the tunnel. There's 2 cameras, one in the center, one at the far end, and then as we go through the tunnel. And again, I should have had the generator here to put the lighting on here. It's brighter than daylight here with the lights on.
So there's not gonna be any partition in between, it's just horses
Yeah.
coming and going, right?
Yeah. I mean, again, if we put.
No, you wouldn't want to, I don't see that.
The only thing that we might want to do is put a cone or something.
Cone or something,
that
yeah.
can hit it.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like a big horse path.
Yeah. Yeah. 32 feet wide.
Just training here.
More down here too, right? Not too bad.
Get all the way out there, it's fine.
So as I said, fiber is all pulled through here. Those are the termination points right there for the cameras. That's where, again, once the cameras get here, they'll complete that.
Take a lap.
Jog one.
Jock's first.
And where the 6 furlongs is over here. All the bait, as I said earlier, anywhere where you see sonic tube, that's all set up for a light pole. You see the spacing of it, 150 feet. All the little black pipes sticking up, those are the valves for the shutoffs for the sprinkler system. You can see the sprinkler heads every 75 feet around the track as well. That little white building just by the quarter pole, that's a mock-up suite. Just so people coming in, they can go through and do it. Around the track, there's 5 different areas, like where these 2 boxes are right here and in front of the pickup truck. They're set up for power. So again, for Belmont Stakes Breeders' Cup, there's 5 2,000 amp services around the infield. So we've tried to set it up to future-proof whatever, again, that they might need. We're teed up for it. Only jogging, Linda. Only jogging. No working. This is like, I think it's 26 feet tighter radius. Yes, yep. But same width as what, I'm sorry, the other.
Where are you thinking that the trainer/clocker stand will be before?
Probably, and again, I would think somewhere by the video board. I think it'll be the easiest spot, and once the piles are out of the way, to be able to say, you can drive right here. So, on the back stretch, right at the 3/4 pole is the main tunnel coming in. So, you can drive right where the cat excavator is over there. That's the tunnel entrance to go out right to the center. And then there's the other entrance that's basically on the west end of the building. But with construction, we don't have access up to there, so that's why we're trying to limit over here. If we can come in through the tunnel.
So you can drive into the infield to the Clark stand, which would be in the infield.
Exactly. And I think what we look to do, Linda, is probably something like you saw over at the airport where it was an elevated office, 2 stories up, where be able to get a visual of what the hell's going on. I think is what one of the options. I think that's probably the easiest and fastest to get something up.
And it's gonna be lit.
Yes, lit and heat. The whole generator.
Fluorescent green.
One of the questions people had, how do you keep a loose horse from getting into the tunnel?
So, and that's one of the things, there is a gap right here. So where we walked across right here, where these 2 poles are, is a double gap. So whether There's a gap attendant here, you know, and again.
So as soon as you have a loose horse, you close that gap, right?
Yeah, and where the red truck is, that is a gate, a sliding gate that goes across there, and this is the area that I was saying. So there will be arborvitaes along this line right here of fencing, so it'll be a solid barrier. But let's face it, the horses coming on the gap, they're gonna know where he's going in. So they're gonna come back to this
So it's
area.
loose in the tunnel,
That's
you
why
close
we
it
went with that style fence over there, where it's a solid fence, so that way at least it looks like a permanent, you know, something behind them.
Loose force indicators.
Yep.
At
So
both
in-
ends of the tunnel.
Yeah, so the warning light system, we're changing one color, so one warning light color will be assigned for the synthetic, and then there will be another warning light for the main track, because there will be times where this is, you know, so whether we go, whatever the colors are, the yellow is going on here because that's what we have made already, so that's what's going on this track. And then where they're pouring right now, those are just the holes for the gaps coming on here. That pad is the Outriders building right there, and then where the concrete truck is parked is where the human and horse ambulance will be stayed, where that's another 30-foot gap to access the track from right there.
This is the new track kitchen.
There's free coffee stand there. On the wall.
And that's what we're looking at, whether we do something. In Tokyo, they used AstroTurf. So they put AstroTurf on the wall, so whether we do something like that, and then if not, we've got the rubber mats that can be installed. And if we go through the current horse tunnel that leads up to the, you know, that has been used for access to the paddock, it's been concrete for 40 years, you know. So, but again, it's something that absolutely can be addressed. Yep. And then what you see down at the bottom of the tunnel, there's a fire hydrant at each location. There will be a removable padded bumper right there, so that way, as long as the fire department can move it out of the way. But if there's a loose horse, it's not going into the hydrant. But we had to install hydrants at either end of the tunnel. That was my next question. When you see that at each of the tunnels over here, there's a hydrant at each entrance of the commercial tunnel and the pedestrian tunnel that leads from the building. The north end is on, the south end is south end is on, the north end isn't complete yet. Yep. What else?
If it rains really, really hard,
Yep.
are we going to have a pool of water in the bottom of that tunnel?
No, and that's what those pumps are for that are installed. So there's the wells that are behind there. There's two structures that go down that are 12 feet below the base of the tunnel, and then they go into and pump into two 36-inch pipes that lead out to all of those orange barrels out there. And then the same thing with the commercial tunnel and the pedestrian tunnel. And then God forbid we lose power, that's what the generator's for as well. So the generator backup will be for training lighting and also the irrigation. So we lose power for a couple days and it's 90 degrees, we have to water the turf, we'll be able to do it, and then we'll also be able to handle, you know, a rain event. You know, if this is Belmont Stakes and we've got X number of thousand people out there and we get 2 inches of rain and the tunnels flood and we lose power, you know, we're, at least that part of it is set up for it. So the backup, even lighting, the track lighting for the synthetic.
As long as the bathrooms are working, it'll be okay.
Sanitary line is already run underneath the track. The other thing that I forgot to mention, and that's a segue to it, but on every one of the turf courses where there is a main that goes underneath here, as I said, the pipe size is 3 times what we had previously. Underneath every surface, including the synthetic, every ductile iron pipe is running a casing. So that way, God forbid there's a break, there's never water that would come up on the actual racing surface. So in between each of the 3 white pipes that you see over at like 9 o'clock or 11 o'clock, 10 o'clock, those are the shutoffs for the mains that go underneath the tracks. Inside of those, there's actually a 24-inch pipe that the pipes actually got pushed through, so that way it's encased, so there's never an issue with, you know, a broken pipe on the actual racing surface. So
What's the material for the pipe?
the material, it's ductile iron for the pipe. The casing is just a SDR21, you know, just PVC pipe. But all the mains are ductile under the tracks. Everything on the interior parts are just plastic pipe, PVC. So those are the actual SDR21 pipes over there. The white pipes. there's spacers of each one of them. So every 6 feet when it's up the lane, there's an actual stainless steel with rubber, with neoprene slides, so that when you can push the pipe through, because the way it's built, an 18-foot piece of pipe goes together, it's gasketed, there's 2 retainers that hold it together, then you push the next piece through. So that way, that's exactly right, to your point. Keeps the pipe from sagging, but then we're able to push it through the...
I mean, with what he's doing right now, I mean, he's just, we're rototilling, because again, let's face it, we've had this material for a year and a half, you know, so they've gone through, you see the rototiller, the power harrow, the rototiller, and then this is the cultivator. So they're going through just the process of getting everything over here after we've rolled this, graded it. All the if you look at the thing on the top of the grader over there, everything is GPS now. So that way we're within half an inch of accuracy, even the little skid steer that we used on the turf course. So they're going through grading all this. Then we'll have Mick come in, test this, and then that's the extra material that we have that we got to get off the track. But there's different rates of speed, because if you go too slow with that, then it balls up in the back, baskets. With this you have to go a little bit quicker for it to shatter. All that does is relieve the compaction, and then there's a little harrow that we use that's called a ripper that actually rides right on the mats. So you want that just to go through right on top of the mats and turn the material over so it doesn't get any compaction. The worst stuff on this is the compaction where the water can't get through it. So yeah, and I mean
what happens in the winter when we may get a rainfall or snowfall and the ice blowing?
And that's the challenge, where you have to go through it mechanically and break it up with a rototiller or you can't put salt to this, so it's a piece of equipment that's used for it. You know, and that's one of the things that, like, even when the main track or the training track, when it was frozen yesterday morning and everything, this stuff, you know, if it's not wet, doesn't freeze. So, but winter's a pain in the ass no matter what. You know, the stuff about it being maintenance free and all that's a bunch of what. I mean, it's different maintenance that has to be done, you know, but it's still a lot of maintenance.
We have that equipment for...
We do. We've got...
Do a maintenance break during training?
No, and that's, I mean, we'll see if we want, you know, again, it's one of the things on how much use it gets, but the thing is, when we're looking at the pony track, I think the most Andrew, you correct me, I think it was like 342 horses went out on that.
350, I think, was the record.
I was just going to say, and you and Linda know, you know, again, and Bruce, on how many times going around where we have not had a maintenance break on that. There's no. So again, we can see and adjust for it. And again, it's going to be on this thing with the timing. You know, once we're able to get some of this stuff where we can see. I mean, my biggest concern is we'll be ready very shortly with what we have here, but pushing to get this open when we're not ready out here. Why are we doing that? You know, and again, we have the use over there. I know I want to get everybody on this as well, but we want to make it, you know, when it's safe, when it's right, and everything is teed up, so we're all on the same page with the expectation. So, you know, again, with the lighting coming in here, I'd love to have the lighting in here to be able to get there, because if not, we're going to be staggering the times when we start. You know, in a little bit of time, they're making good progress with what's going on with the windows. You're going to see some of the cranes leave for the roofing on what's taking place over there, so that should help as well. Not that that's going to impact what's going on over here, but the video board is the next challenge for us.
Glenn, I think if you started, I don't know what everyone would think, but when it opened, let's say it's in 30 days, I don't know, whatever, maybe it's 60, but hopefully let's say 30 days, it could be open from 7 to 10.
Yep.
I mean, I wouldn't open it until daylight. I wouldn't worry about the light. Yeah.
No, I get it. I'm just saying for us, because one of the things for us is with the guys that are here is having the work. Exactly. So that way when they're pulling the wiring in for this, all the sprinkler wiring is in, it's just not terminated because of now the temperature on it. The electrical side of it, we can certainly do that, and that's what, when we walk through the tunnel, you see all the coiled up, you know, that's all the electric that Peter's pulled in to go through and do that. So it's keeping those guys going as well, so that way they're here at 7 o'clock. What am I doing from 7 to 10 with those guys that, you know, because if we modify their schedule, then, you know, it's all money.
Well, then when are we actually running on it?
Next year.
Meaning the winter of 27.
The winter of, yes.
What about off the turf?
Well, no, for off the
Summer?
turf.
Yeah, hopefully off turf. I mean, again, we'll be ready for it.
Andrew,
For
is that right? Are we using this as a off the turf solution?
Yes.
In this coming
As soon as it
summer,
opens.
meaning May, June, July?
No, not until September.
We're not racing
reason here until September.
Yeah.
So I don't really see the need to train on it so soon. I mean, consider we're not running on it until September.
Right.
So many horses on the training track.
Yeah, because unfortunately people stabled over here. You and I get to use the training track. I mean, I'll be honest, when this is open, I might bring a set over.
Never
Right?
did.
Not too far.
Hourly wage, you know, it's time, it's money. Let's do it.
And again, I think the biggest thing is that with how things are going out here and what we're able to move, when we're able to get rid of the sight lines and be able to see, because it's not fair for an outrider to be stationed right there and have no idea what the hell's taking on at the. No, and that's it. It's not. No, that's, and again, even for people watching the horses, work over here. I should say work. Watching the horses out on the track, it's a challenge the way this is set up. And we're moving. I mean, and you all see it. It's 7 days a week out here. I mean, there's 7 days a week. There is activity and there's work going on. The contractors are here 5 days a week, sometimes 6, and then my crew is working and has worked 7 days a week for a very long time.
Well, that just seems to be like, since how we don't run on until September, I mean, it seems like it would be a lot more important for you guys to be able to work quickly on everything else and not worry about opening for training.
It is, but again, we want to get it to where where it can be used for the trainers too. Again, as Tina pointed out, if we're able to get some horse off the training track to go over here, it certainly helps, and to give the trainers. I mean, we've gone through this multiple times. We've got the Tony track that gets how much use. We've got the 2 jogging barns that get anywhere from 50 to 75, sometimes 100 horses in each one of those. At certain points, half of the stabled horses here were training on a synthetic track certain days of the week. The past 2 winters, so
Outriders are employed to be opening another surface here.
and again, those are the things, just scheduling and how we go through and do it. But you're absolutely right. And for us, I just don't want, again, we've pushed to get to where we are now, and I don't want to open something up that's not ready, And it's not, and you can all see, it's not that the surface isn't ready with what we're doing and what's set up. We've got, the millions of yards of material that have been moved, it just, and we can only go so fast.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, I mean,
that's the point. I
you-
don't see the point of it being in such a hurry
Yep.
to get open if it inconveniences your work.
Vanessa, out here, do you want to talk about the camera positions and what we did in terms of trying to protect ourselves from visibility issues so far?
Yeah, and I thought I brought that up, but just
It's
again,
easier to see how this
yeah, so again, every one of the steel poles that you see is a marker pole, and that is a robotic camera that goes on that. So between, the marker poles have the robotics on it, and then what we did on the synthetic track was, because of the gallop out over here, this was a pole that was added. There's a pole that's added on the outside as well to capture the chutes. But in between the synthetic and the inner turf course, there is a camera every 1/8 of a mile. So when we go through Aqueduct with fog and we have to get a handheld, and there's concerns of being able to see, that's something that hopefully we should never see with the amount of cameras that are positioned around this track. And not only that, as he mentioned, for training, the camera poles that are on for the head-on and rear shots, 3 positions that were added on the west turn on the north side, 2 positions on the south side, 2 new positions that you saw over here, 4 camera positions on the northeast side to capture each one of the spurs on the Widener turf course.
So you're going to have about 120 cameras out here.
Out here, I think it's 46 that we have by the time we're said and done, yeah. Newton.
Not counting
Not
surveillance.
security. Yeah.
That's what I meant.
Yeah. And then every light
10 of
pole,
those are in your barn.
and then every other light pole also will have cameras on those as well that will capture the surfaces and the infield as well.
When we had that webinar with Joni,
Yep.
she said snow is the only problem they have. How do you take the snow off of it?
There's a lot more problems with snow, so she was being polite, you know. But again, it's no different than the dirt. You do it the same as the dirt track. So we're gonna have to grade it off and either blow it or haul it away. And one of the things I think that what they were trying to say is the sun on this, it heats it up faster than the sand on the dirt course. So it's like a synthetic field. Once you start to see, we'll leave an inch on this and let that melt rather than mix it in. And if you do have to mix it in, that's where the rototiller or the power harrow goes, because you have to mechanically break that up. You can't put salt in it like you can with the dirt surfaces. And as I said, this thing doesn't, if there's not the moisture in it, this thing doesn't react like the dirt surface. So like when it was 20 degrees out the other day, you could walk on this thing, and it's not, there's 6 inches of frost in the ground right now. So like where they were digging yesterday over here, I mean, it's already, we've gotten a colder winter already than what we know. We've been very spoiled the last 4 or 5 years.
Glenn, lately,
Now they came up with something that's not snow blowers, that they do it with heat. That would not be appropriate to,
So
like
on
instead
here
of
with the
digging
wax,
it,
I don't know
yeah,
about
well,
here,
that's
but
why
I
say,
think one of the things that we also tried was, you see it with the giant leaf blowers, those Buffalo turbines are like 24 inch or 30 inch blowers. You have a very powder, if it's cold enough in a powdery snow, you might just blow the stuff off. Rather than trying to take it off, because no matter how you go through this, you look at the tire marks, you look at the grader blades, the grader tires, you're putting pressure in the tires. When the grader's going over it, that snow is falling into that tire pool, just like a dirt track. So in the wintertime, the track looks great when it's frozen, then it starts to thaw out. You see the streaks on it, looks like a skunk. All that snow and ice is going into every indentation of a tire mark from the grader, and there's no way to get around it. I mean, that's winter racing, unfortunately. And like with something like this, you just have the ability to beat this up a little bit more.
I don't know if you've noticed, but they've had a lot of breakdowns at Woodbine this past couple of weeks.
Yeah, I saw that, and I actually spoke with the superintendent up there, and again, without being up there, it's not fair to say. And you look at Woodbine, that was not a full renovation when that was done. Remember? So there was, they left 2 inches of the old stuff. They didn't fix it. I shouldn't say. I just
How often would this have to be renovated or taken up?
probably 8 to 10 years. 8 to 10 years. And again, it all depends on the use as well. And then the other thing is, you look down at Turfway with how long that's been in place and what they've done. There's, again, without knowing what's taking place, it's not fair to say what's going on.
The weather would affect it too, right? The break.
It's pretty damn cold in Cincinnati, Florence, right?
They had the kickback problem when they
First part, and then remember it was sticking to their hooves, and they started to use the PAM in it, and again, that's where.
5 inches of snow before opening night.
Yeah.
What did they start using?
Pam. In the feet. Yeah, cooking spray. Yeah, just so it didn't. Yeah, so it didn't stick. And I think part of it, again, without knowing, it's not fair to say, but I think Turfway was a brand new course that was put in, and it's reacted in a certain manner.
Do you feel that this would be less maintenance in a traditional dirt course?
I think when the weather is decent, I think it'll be a lot less. When the weather's bad, I think it's going to be just as much or more. And that's why I said when it was 20 degrees and we were harrowing all night, you didn't have to touch this thing, because it was dry. But now if there's ice into it, you're going to be going around with the power harrows just as much as you are the other. So I think it'll be the same amount, but just different times. Again, when it rains on this, you open it up. You're not going around floating it. You're not trying to get it out of it. Let it go through. The other thing I forgot to mention on it, I know it said on this track, we put with the drain tiles and everything else, also on the outside rail of the track and on the inside rail, at every one of the 10-inch drain mains, we're able to run a jet vac through it as well, and that's one of the things that some of the other places haven't done. So you can always flush the system, put a camera through it, see how it's draining, know that nothing's compromised. There will be in the mile at the 3/4. That's why I said that's wider on that at the 2 turns on the east end over here. So, and then there'll be a little starter's shack, over by where the bushes are. So those bushes are going to get relocated out to the infield. We tried to save those from the original track, so those are going to go out to the infield. Just got Not on this side. That's just temporary for the drainage coming from the other track, but on the west end, just the irrigation pond. Yep. This goes up to the.
Is it synthetic all the way
Yes.
to the tunnel?
Yes.
You don't go onto the main track?
No.
You make a right when you come out of the tunnel.
Yep. When you're coming down the tunnel from the paddock, you're gonna make a sharp right.
You like going along the old apron.
Yes, exactly.
All right, so when they're jogging along there,
Yep.
spectators can watch them jog along there as they get to the track.
Correct.
Yell at
Yep.
the jogs a little
Yep.
bit.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah.
We're bringing them
That aqueduct environment to the new Belmont. You know what I mean?
Work for myself, man.
Oh yeah. Feel the burn with that.